So good afternoon, everybody. We're going to start with a question, which is, what is the most common mode of transportation in the world? A lot of people in the room would say cars. It's actually elevators. And in that business, the core revenue doesn't come from new equipment, it comes from maintenance. And that's exactly where we operated.
So let us start with the most important, our customer property managers. They all have maintenance contract because it's mandatory. Their issue, they pay expensive bill, lack of transparency on both pricing and operation. And when they have a breakdown, who do they have in front of them? A sales rep.
Whereas we can solve their issues. The person that is at the core of the value chain, that moves from building to building, doing a physical job that is not reproducible, and that's the mechanic. And that mechanic, more importantly, 75% of his job cannot be automated. So let's make it crystal clear. You can put sensors all over the elevator, you cannot skip the mechanic. What's his issue is that he has a lot of lack of ownership on the building, and he has no financial incentive. In the US, he tops the blue-collar workers list with $75,000 on average per year. In Europe and Asia, it's 3 to 4 times less than this. I used to work in that industry for 10 years, between Europe and Asia. And when I saw digital came in, I see that as a tremendous opportunity to change the current model. I'm Ben Dupont, the co-founder and CEO of WeMaintain.
I was not from the industry, but when I saw the lack of service and diversity and the high margin, I thought about Jeff Bezos saying, which is, their margin are our opportunities. I am Jade, co-founder and COO of WeMaintain.
We created the first elevator B2B platform. Our SaaS technology enables the mechanic to become independent, run his business, and we have a community of people that in the end offers customer a better service. We basically tie people creating the value, the mechanics, with the people paying for it, the customers.
That's our competitors. They've created and ruled the industry from the beginning. Create their digital strategy, invest hundreds of thousands of dollars in expensive hardware, and work with traditional players like the one you see on the screen. But as we all know, today, to make app or software, the one with colors might not be the best one. So it's easy to do some nice name dropping, but actually it's not solving the issue of mechanic and customer. So when technology is not matching the value chain, then you just have to change your strategy.
Change it? That's exactly what we do. Don't get us wrong. It's not about dropping suits and putting t-shirts on. It's about making sure that the model matches the value chain. They use digital to control, we use digital to empower.
So to do so, we created a set of tools for the mechanic to manage his operation, be safe at all times, and be in touch with his customer. What's game-changing for him? Well, he finally has ownership on the unit. He can increase his revenue while maintaining less unit and have time to do his job. For customer, it's also super easy. You just go on the platform, you create a building, and you post a request for maintenance contract. Then our matching algorithm will find you the right dedicated mechanic to do your maintenance. What's game-changing for you? Well, when you have a breakdown or an issue, you talk to the person who best knows your elevator. You have a full transparency and a fair price, so no more surprise when you receive a bill.
You talked about revenue early on. Look at what it is. $35 billion market globally. 42% in Asia, 43% in Europe.
So what makes us special? We're actually the first in Europe and in the world to give that much care to customer and mechanic. We already have a community. They first came for the tools, they're now staying for the network. And more importantly, WeMaintain can scale.
And how do we do that? So let us show you. We just went live in Q4 2017. We're a pretty young company. In less than 6 months, we started in Paris, high density of elevators, 40% of France. You saw the 43% Europe. In less than 6 months, we have 20 customers, 200 plus units and 10 mechanics on the community, 40 on the waiting list. If we do our strategy right, we'll be at $1 million GMV at the end of this year for Paris only. In 5 years, we'll be a $61 million company for that city. You scale it in Hong Kong City, the highest revenue per unit, and you get that number. And I talked about the revenue global. You can see how we can make it a $1 billion company.
So that's the heartbeat behind WeMaintain. The entire team is driven by one purpose, which is using digital to empower mechanics and transform customer experience. The 3 co-founders have worked between Europe, Asia, and the US. And we have an announcement to make. We just closed our seed round of $2.2 million with international investors.
And that's just scratching the surface of what WeMaintain actually is. We talked about the elevator business. The same customer had other issues in other regulated areas. and you move from a 35 to a $110 billion opportunity. So from today on, if you think about elevator maintenance, think about WeMaintain, because together, we can rise by lifting others. Thank you very much.
Questions from the panel?
So I used to work for one of those lift companies a long time ago, so I can bore people about this for a long time. When you sell a lift, normally you will put in quite a long maintenance contract, and that's the way they do it. And if you come and compete with a maintenance contract, are those incumbents not going to either shift the model to stop it or just compete in a different way?
So that's interesting, because again, 4% of what you're saying is the current market in Europe. That's the new equipment market. So when you install a lift, you have the warranty period. The rest of the market is existing. So in that case, you have all of the companies that can actually compete within each other. So we actually work on that piece of the market. The new equipment is pretty small. That's Europe. Asia might be a little different, but generally speaking, like any brands and any mechanic has a skill to maintain different units. So that's where we operate. The biggest piece of the market is definitely there. New equipment is a small piece. The warranty is not a problem.
So I'll ask another one. Predictive analytics. So a lot of these companies are predicting the analytics. Is that something that you can plug in, you can tie, you can help with?
You've seen what we've done. We have an IoT device, but it's tackling 25% of what the problem is. I used to work in Asia for one of the big four. We had new lifts everywhere, IoT everywhere, and we figured out after 3 years that it doesn't work because 75% of the job is done by somebody whose job cannot be automated. There's an amazing survey that was done by McKinsey recently that was saying whose job can be automated and cannot be. Elevator mechanic, physical job, non-reproductive, working on different technologies that are physical. Before we have a robot that can do this, it's a big issue. But we use IoT for very specific items that we give to the community to improve predictive maintenance. But that's not the key of the model.
I'll take over from the lift guy. I love that. I didn't know that about you. You got 1 minute. Can you explain 2 slides back, I think, or 3 slides back, your financials? Because it was so quick, I couldn't understand how you're going to become a unicorn.
We can't go back, but it's...
I can't go backwards? Ah, damn. Can you just explain your financials to become a unicorn, please?
Sorry.
Financials?
Can you explain your financials to tell me how you're going to make all this money?
Right, so, okay, so year 1 in Paris, what we said, average revenue per unit, $2,000. We work on segments that are residential and office. And basically, if you look at this, we have 500 units right now. 5 years down the road, we targeted 10% of the market. So when you get to 30,000 units, 2,000 RPU, that's how you get to the million I was talking about. Hong Kong, exactly the same market as Paris. It's $1 billion market on average, and it's 5,000 revenue per unit. It's the highest in the world. And we proved the model can work like this. Actually, we went to Paris first because we wanted to make sure that we can crack the supply. I mean, the guy is going to quit his job today. They're all employed. Quit his job to create his company. That's done. I was talking to you about it. And France is a pretty tough market to crack that piece. And we say now, if we can crack it open, we raise the money and we extend. We have a 40-city roadmap. And we're going to go not country to country, but city by city, which had the same issue as what we've seen before, and the same answer, the scalable platform. Thank you.
Thank you.